1. I live in an apartment complex where the laundry room is on the bottom floor, and you have to pay to wash and dry. I live with my sisters, so it costs us about $20 every time we do the laundry. There are only 3 washing machines and 3 dryers, and we all use 3 when we wash and dry. We tend to do our laundry in the evenings when the laundry room is free, and we time the washing and drying so that no one is waiting for us to remove our clothes to use the machines. We recently noticed that any time we finish our laundry, we'd find among our clothes underwear and or socks that don't belong to us. Initially, we thought we'd accidentally taken them, but my older sister said that she thought people were interrupting the dryers to add their own stuff. If you open the dryer doors and close them again, they continue running. We finished our laundry not too long ago, and went to get clothes after they were done drying. My older sister opened the dryer and we immediately saw what was clearly a man's underwear among our stuff. It wasn't there when we started the dryer, so it was clear that he had interrupted the dryer to put it in. My younger sister was really pissed because we didn't know who this person was, and we most certainly did not give him permission to dry his underwear with our clothes. We managed to convince her not to toss the underwear into the lint disposal bin. Since it was dry, my sister said to wet it instead. So my older sister soaked it with water and put it back in the now empty dryer. We left the laundry room after that, but I wish I could see his face when he comes back to meet his wet underwear. Now, other people that have heard this story have commented about my sisters and I taking up all the machines at once, so I thought to mention it here that there's 3 of us in our apartment and we do our laundry together. It takes us 1 hour, 28 minutes in total doing it this way. Again, we do the laundry in the evenings when the laundry room and all the machines are free. Most of the time, it takes us to load and empty the washing machines, load and empty the dryers, and fold our laundry. No one comes in. That's how free it is. We used to do our laundry during the weekends, but it would take longer because all the machines would either be in use, or only one would be free at a time, so we'd have to wash and dry in batches, taking us more than 3 hours. The rare times when someone comes in to do their laundry or dries some hand-washed clothes, when we're loading the washing machines or dryers, we batch wash and batch dry our clothes so the other person can use it too. The appearance of the underwear or socks never happens when we use the washing machines, because the doors on those lock once the cycle starts. It only happens when we dry our clothes. It's also never things like shirts. It's always underwear or socks or both. 2. I'm a 28-year-old female, live with my boyfriend, a 29-year-old male, and 1 roommate, 35 and male, in a house that I own. They both work at the same company, so their workday starts at 6 a.m. I work from home, so I sleep and get up pretty much whenever I want. It's worth noting that I'm a very light sleeper, and my boyfriend is a fairly heavy sleeper that I usually have to wake despite his alarm. My boyfriend's alarm goes off at 5:30, he usually gets dressed and heads to work by 5:40, which is fine. In those 10 minutes I'll pack his lunch, make him coffee, and get him set up for the day. My roommate, however, has a very loud blaring alarm that goes off every 5 minutes between 5 and 5:30. When he finally rolls out of bed and gets ready, even on weekends, he'll sometimes let his alarm go off until 6, until it finally shuts off on its own. It's very annoying. I have no idea why he sets his alarm to be so damn loud that the whole house hears it, especially since he's also a light sleeper, supposedly, and has expressed before me that watching TV in my room at night keeps him up, even if I close the door. If the alarm was quieter, I wouldn't care, but at that point, he wakes my dogs, and he's even woken my boyfriend's daughter, 3 years old, who stays with us on occasion. Needless to say, once that first alarm goes off at 5, I'm awake, and so is everyone else. I don't know if you've ever dealt with a toddler being unwillingly woken at 5 a.m., but it's not pretty, especially since she usually wakes up between 9:30 and 10. I asked him a number of times if he could just turn down the alarm a little so he doesn't wake the whole house. He refuses to do so. Cue PettyRevenge. My wake-up routine usually involves taking a shower, then doing the dishes and cleaning, caring for the dogs, etc. If we have the baby, I'll make breakfast and put on a show for her to watch while she wakes up. 2 of my 3 dogs are fairly large, so they make noise when I let them out of their crates and feed them. So the past few days I've been dragging my ass out of bed at 5 and starting my routine. None of which I do quietly. I'm awake anyway, and it's my house, so I can do what I want. The toddler will usually fall asleep again on the couch, even if I turn on the TV, so I put on a show for her at a normal volume. At 5. My dogs are energetic, so I let them out of their crates to run around. At 5. Dishes, 5 a.m., baby. TikTok's in the living room, 5 again. Wake me up at 5, that's when my day will start. I haven't gotten much out of my roommate except for dirty looks and the occasional, "Why are you awake?" To which I simply respond with, "Because you woke me." He's not the sharpest tool in the shed, so he started to complain that I'm being petty for no reason. I again suggested to him to turn down the alarm, or at least lessen the frequency, but he's refused to do so. Guess we'll just keep waking up at 5. Except for my boyfriend, of course. He can sleep through virtually anything. Bless his heart. I should go wake him. 3. So where to start is simple. I'm on a YouTube community that had a young guy in it who was your perfect nice guy narcissist stereotype, Dave. Dave had this history of going around since 2019 and starting drama, attacking anyone who objected to his views. Basically any different views than his, and you were the worst person in the community. Last year it had been years since the initial events had happened, so I decided to give Dave a chance, thinking he's improved since then. As it turns out, big mistake. Fast forward to a few months ago. Through a bunch of stupid tantrums he threw, it emerges last year Dave pulled everyone he could into making a group behind my back, dedicated to talking shit about me. Mind you, I did nothing to him, so needless to say I was pissed when I found out about it. I end up chewing him out for this group and some other things, including some fucked up lies he told, which is a whole other story. And he's coming at me with all these fake apologies which I wasn't stupid enough to fall for, as I have dealt with people like him in the past and know what they do. The next couple of months after that he starts going crazy, blowing up everyone and their mother about how he's destroyed countless friendships and whatever. But by this point everyone, including those in the shit talk group, who felt terrible for being involved in it, are done with him too, and are sticking up for me. Next thing you know, he's going full-blown nice guy, including tangents about Christianity, and how he wishes we had love like him. Love bombing, basically. Then myself and others get random Cash App money from him as gratitude, unsolicited by the way. After that, he starts sending messages to people's mothers, yes, literally, bullshitting about how we're bullying him, which is nonsense. Besides, he had no room to be talking anyway, as he had backstabbed me with the existence of that shit talk group. Needless to say, I wasn't falling for that either, and after telling him to fuck off once and him sending me a massive word salad in response and then deleting it, I told him to fuck off again. This time also telling him to quit messaging people's mothers, among other stuff. The next day, Dave snaps into a rage and deletes his YouTube channel. And next thing I know, he's posted on one of his alts about how this community has provided me PTSD, and how it's a lost cause, and to never ask him to come back. Like I ever want you back, Mr. Drama King Narcissist. He's also threatened the authorities on me since this too, which I find hilarious. Well, sucks to be Dave. I've had my revenge, that being you, the trash, taking yourself out, and enjoying your random money and people sticking by my side. That's also a drama-free community, with you gone. 4, so I'm a swimming teacher. I teach kids in the water and from the side. I love my job and enjoy planning for each little bean and watching them get better. I worked 6 days a week for a company since February this year. During my time there, one of my co-workers decided that he needed to assert his authority by constantly calling me she or that stupid girl, and my personal favorite, said in front of management, "That bitch." I'm very gay, but definitely a man. And all it did was confuse the kids and their parents because I present very masculine, trunks, deep voice, and stash. I obviously went to my manager and told her he was being a transphobic dick. She acted horrified and said she'd sort it. Did she? Fuck. So it continued to get worse, as these things tend to do, and he started actively shit-talking me, and the co-workers who defended and corrected my pronouns, to the parents, on poolside. Again, I went to my boss and said, "Look, I don't feel safe here, and now other people are being threatened too. Do something." Again, she was horrified, so horrified she did nothing yet again. I ended up dropping from 6 to 3 days. It was my only income source, but screw that, it was not worth it. Then we moved venues, and everyone was super stressed because company is terrible, and hadn't planned anything. So the issues with the older co-worker stopped. He had something else to bitch about now. He then left, after which my manager happily said, "Ah, the problem's fixed." Bro, no, it's not. He left of his own volition, and you didn't give a shit about your staff, and it definitely wasn't just me. She made it clear to you that we were instantly replaceable and unimportant. About a month or so later, so just over 6 months since I'd raised the issue, I was venting to a friend and another manager overheard. She was angry on my behalf and went to another higher-up person, because the company doesn't even have bloody HR, who triggered an internal investigation into my boss, who promptly went on sick leave. But don't you worry, this isn't the revenge. While she was off, it continued to spiral into toxicity on poolside, and we lost so many good staff. I was losing the will when I received a call from a competitor swim school, offering me a job on the spot as of right then and there. But oh no, it was on one of the days I worked for the company. Oh, what a goddamn shame. I accepted so fast I thought I might combust, and immediately handed in my notice for dropping that day effective immediately. This happened to be on my boss's first day back after sick leave. What a shame. She didn't even bother to reply to me. Just set her boss on me. That boss then threw the book at me.
"You have to give 4 weeks' notice, it's in the contract."
Oh, the contract that ran out in May? I don't think so.
It's unprofessional.
So it's violating my human rights, and also, I don't care, I already have another offer. She couldn't do anything more, and neither could my boss, because I'm self-employed, because the company S wanted to circumvent some laws, so I can leave whenever I want with no notice at all, and I was nice enough to give them 4 whole days. It gives me immense joy thinking about how she must have scrambled to find cover, and I know for a fact that she had to get her hands dirty and teach lessons herself, which she hates doing. Since I left, many of my kids have left the swim school and gone elsewhere, and my boss has been asked to step back from her role. Five. Greeks have to do a 9-month mandatory service in the military. 40 days or basic training at one of the big training camps. Then you may get a couple of weeks or so at a school, if you get a speciality assigned, then off to some camp near the border. Funny side story about specialities. The best one in my corp, artillery, one that got assigned to you if your dad knew a general or higher, was horse attendant. It's best, of course, because you have no duties. The army hasn't had horses for decades. But I digress. You were supposed to go to the army at 18, but you get postponement for studies. So I'd say most are at least 23 years old, and it seems the army sort of groups by age. as my unit was mostly late 20s masters or PhD students. It was some good company. I've kept in touch with one or two. I, with some others, eventually got sent to Camp Rhodes, which I assume was quite pleasant in the summer, but we slept in a World War II Italian stable with no doors in 0°C winter. So it was kind of challenging. Add to that the knowledge that the service was a colossal waste of time. All we did for months there was be in the morning roll call, clean floors, latrines, pans, dishes, collect cigarette butts, do various chores, and patrol the camp day and night in full gear. The 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. shift was the worst. You have to understand that beyond the first 40 days, the mandatory service does not serve a functional purpose. The work 99% of conscripts do exists only because there are conscripts there, sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Apart from us and a few civilians, there were 3 generic types of other people in the camp. First, the professional soldiers, which were some of the least educated hillbilly village types I've ever encountered, as the profession attracted people with 0 other prospects, no qualifications required. Then the non-commissioned officers, who were usually just older professional soldiers who had been promoted to low ranks, and finally, the officers, with whom we had the least interaction. So we had interaction with the first 2 types, especially the NCOs, were our direct superiors, and many of my fellow conscripts did not enjoy being ordered around by, let's say, less refined types on top of the rest of the misery of wasting months of their lives. The fact that they could boss around cultured, educated, etc. people did give some of them a sort of satisfaction. Now, my story is about my fellow conscript, Costas, who was an intellectual type, a soft-spoken, quiet fellow. I knew he didn't like the professional soldiers who he felt made his life harder. But he didn't make a big fuss about it. What he seemed to like, on the other hand, was donuts. The camp's canteen was unspectacular, but every morning they brought fresh donuts. You can Google Lucomades Paralias for the exact type. It's a big, soft, sugary donut, which were a huge hit and would sell out in an hour or 2. This meant that conscripts who had to wake up at 7 but had some free time after roll call could get their donuts when they came in. For the professionals, it was a mixed bag. They might have morning duties, etc., and often could only go to the canteen by 10 or so, by which time they'd not find any. The donuts were behind glass, visible from the entrance, so you didn't need to ask to know you're too late. In any case, I would go for my morning donut with Costas, who would buy his but ask the cashier to hold it for him later. I'd have mine and then chat a bit with the guys, there was some seating, then at some point leave. But he'd always stay longer. After a few days of this, I happened to return to the canteen much later, and he was still there chatting away and his donuts still uneaten on display. Curious, I asked, "Hey, Costas, when are you going to have your donut?" He replied with a little smile, "I don't buy the donut so I can have it. I buy it so they can't have it." That's when I realized what he had been doing all these days. I thought he was just hanging out chatting with people coming and going. But he had chosen his seat strategically facing the counter. His favorite pastime was to watch NCOs getting excited at seeing that they had hit unbelievable luck, with one last donut still available this late. A smile forming as dreams of eating the donutty delight crystallized in their mind, only to be brutally shattered by the cashier telling them, "Sorry, it's taken." Costas went on for weeks like that, enjoying his PettyRevenge over and over and over again, on dozens of victims. It was a big camp. I assume some of them multiple times. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Revenge is Ice Cream, episode 311. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do hit the like button. It's been saying naughty things, and you have to put it in its place. And if you'd like to get the videos a little bit earlier, then you can support me on my Patreon for as little as $1, or more if you like, per month. That's linked in the description, where you'll also find a link to the Hellfreezer Teespring store, where you can get yourself some Hellfreezer merchandise just in time for Christmas. Everyone else has been holding off just so you can come along and buy stuff now, so don't worry, there's plenty in stock. You can also make donations during streams or videos like this one. And while you don't have to do this, I very much appreciate it, and it's helping me keep the lights on. Alrighty, let's see. I don't think there's any other business. I don't believe there's any more birthday shoutouts at the end of October. So let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is... And this one was supplied by my moderator, Potato Puff, also known as Ashley sometimes. Are the left and the right Twix the same? That's almost philosophical, isn't it? I mean, if you swapped them over, would they still be the left and right Twix, or would they be the right and left Twix? Is it 2 left Twixies or 2 right Twixes? How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? I don't know. It's one of those questions. All I know is I like to shove them in my face. In fact, Twixies are one of the few candies/biscuits that I still bite apart, even as an adult. Usually bite the top bit off, then I get the chocolate at the sides, then I shove the rest in my mouth. But I look forward to seeing your answers in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.